Hello and welcome everyone to this amazing session, which is really on a topic close to my heart. Welcome Anupama and Sabdezar. It's a pleasure hosting you. We're waiting for Amrita Mukherjee to join us. But first, a little bit about the topic we're going to discuss. The title is The Future of Literature in the Age of Technology. And we're going to discuss, how technology has changed, or rather evolved, the way literature is created and consumed, from the likes of Quora to Wikipedia, Kindle to Goodreads. The panel seeks to explore the impact of technology, not just on the written word, but also society. Breaking boundaries, is technology the new Guttenberg that enables an exchange of thoughts, vision, and expression? Or is it playing a devil's advocate where sonorous sounds of the written words cannot be filtered from the boisterous noise? So welcome, Anupama. I'm going to do an introduction about you first.
Yes, Sabin.
Anupama Jain is the author of When Padma Bani Paula, listed as one of the 5 best books of fiction in 2018 by readwriteinspire.com. It is a breezy novel about second chances of life and the importance of staying true to one's roots. She also wrote Masala Mix Potpourri of Short Stories, a short story collection on myriad manifestations of love. She is also the co-author of 9 anthologies across genres, one of which is an Limca record holder as India's first composite novel. Anupama is the founder and admin of Senior School Moms, which won the Orange Flower Award in 2021 for Best Facebook Groups. She is also the head content collaboration marketing at Incredible Women of India. Anupama has won multiple major awards for her writing: the Orange Flower Awards for Humor, at Mom Presso Award for Fiction and Parental Blogging. She was listed as one of the 10 Indian women bloggers, a feminist must follow by Women's Web. She blogs at, and Anupama, you're going to help me with this.
Akasirvik.com.
Akas,
Akasirvik.wordpress.com.
okay, and I'll spell it out. AKKAACERBIC.wordpress.com. Anupama writes an award-winning satirical series at Readomania, AJ Wants to Know, about the quirky world around. So welcome, Anupama.
Thank you so much, Sabin, for that very warmest welcome. Thank you.
Sabdezar Irfan is a visual communication designer with an equal love for illustration and literature. Based in Lahore, she's currently working as a freelance illustrator alongside working a corporate job, hoping to fulfill her dream of telling the infinite stories inside her in the finite space of life. Her latest and her first book is called The Grey Matter, published by Zuka Books. Welcome, Subtizer.
Hi, thank you, Sabine. That was an amazing introduction. And I'm really, really glad to just, be a part of this talk and with all of you people who are so much more accomplished than me. I really feel a little out of my league, but I'm really, really, really honored to be here and to be
We're
talking.
honored, we're honored to having you.
Thank
The
you.
honor, yeah. The honor is ours. We all learn and imbibe and share.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to introduce Amrita Mukherjee, and I hope she joins us soon. Amrita Mukherjee has worked in publications like the Times of India, the Hindustan Times, and the Asian Age in India. And she has been the features editor with ITV Publishing Group, Dubai's largest magazine publishing house. An advocate of alternate journalism, she's currently an independent journalist writing for international publications and websites, and also blogs on women's issues at amritaspeaks.com. Amrita's debut novel, Exit Interview, published by Rupa Publications in 2015, earned the tag unputdownable from reviewers and readers alike. It was on the Star Mark bestsellers list for months. Exit Interview is a fiction based on the life of a woman journalist. Her vast exposure to people from all walks of life and her keen interest in collecting stories and collating it with research has resulted in the 13 short stories in her book, Museum of Memories, published by Readomania in April 2017. Her work has been published in two anthologies, Mock, Stock, and Quarrel, also published by Readomania in 2016, and in Across and Beyond, Avenel Press, published in 2020. Amrita's work has been praised by Veer Sanghavi and M.J. Akbar. She has been featured in publications like The Telegraph, The Times of India, Femina, The Gulf News Dubai, The Statesman, Deccan Chronicle, A Samay, Ajkal, and Sapti Bartaman. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. She received Women Par Excellence Award in 2018 for her contribution to writing. Her website is amritaspeaks.com. Okay. So Anupama, I'm going to begin with you and, going to my statement, from Quora to Wikipedia, Kindle to Goodreads, has technology changed or rather evolved the way literature is created and consumed?
Thanks to internet, we are sitting here and confabulating and exchanging ideas. Internet has changed the way we think. Internet has changed the way we perceive stuff. Everything is out there for you to understand, to assimilate. What worked yesterday wouldn't work now. In the sense, earlier if I had to find a small detail about something, every Indian family had that rack of Oxford dictionaries starting from A to Z, where everything under the sun was written in that. Now, at the press of a query, you get all the answers. So in that situation, people are reading from across the world. You cannot sit in your small complacent world and think this is literature. Because we are reading from across the world, the thoughts that are, emanating, say, in South Africa or say in Canada, at the stroke of a button, we're all clued in. So because of that, the way things are looked at or examined under a lens have undergone a sea change. Also, at the same time, we become more conscious of the divisions that existed earlier, and there has been, bridged the unfathomable chasms earlier. So we are more conscious of the, subconsciously the mistakes that we would do when we were writing or reading literature. So what were considered classics now are examined by new moral lens. And I said, it can't work now. So we are re-looking at literature as well. So it's a positive step in the sense we are constantly evolving. The language is getting, of course, simpler because of the attention span of the new gen. It's the Insta generation. They are not going to sit and read or sieve through long sentences, but also issues are becoming part and parcel. We are more socially conscious of what we are trying to put out there. I think that has been the positive effect of technology and the age of Quora. Even we try, and whatever we put out, we can't be. Even if I don't, let's say I'm trying to base my story in England. Suppose even if I've not traveled to England per se, thanks to technology, I can figure out about my place thoroughly and weave it into my story. That's been a huge helpful tool that way, yes.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. I've never been to Switzerland, and now I watch YouTube videos of, touristy videos, and, you know, my breath is taken away by the
Exactly.
breathtaking views.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the stories not only have become lived in, they're becoming experiential, because you can see a video or you can actually walk through those questions and they can seep into our stories. That's the difference.
True, true. Sabdezar, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I believe, especially for my generation, because I feel like you are, in a way, talking about, me and my peers when you say, "Okay, we are the generation that really needs short sentences, things that are really
Yeah.
perceivable, and all of that." I really, really do agree with you on that. And that I feel like even when I was doing research for my own book, even though I was on a time crunch because I this was part of my thesis project for my bachelor's degree, I feel like all of the literature that I was reading at that time, I was really, really, able to just take away more from the stuff that I was either reading online or stuff that was just really, really to the point. Because I was just telling myself, okay, I need a lot of information right now, and I don't have a lot of time to gather it. And I feel like that's just the sort of mindset that this specific generation you're talking about comes with, and all the projects that we do and everything we want to create, we come with this preconceived idea that time bahut kam hai, and there's a lot that needs to be done. So whatever I need to research needs to just happen super fast.
It's like the entire gen has been, insta, for the lack of saying, like instant noodles, instant this thing, the instant knowledge, and that
Yeah.
has been bottled up and boxed and kept it there out in the space. It's up to us to remember which package to open and take the contents that are suitable for our work.
And there's just so much less time to experiment in a way. Like, I don't um mean to say this in a bad way, but sometimes, that's just really how it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely agree with you on that. And so my next question is, and we belong, at least me, not you, Sabdezar, but I believe Anupama and I belong to that era when letter writing, it was maybe diminished, yeah, like letter, but it was pretty much there. So with the rise of technology, we've seen the erasure of letter writing, the dreamy romance and the restless anticipation of receiving a letter. It's now buried in the sands of time. So now we receive emails within a blink of an eye, and snail mails, as they're called now, really unromantic, and unpoetic. They're a thing of the past. So also in the past is the glory of letter writing, many a times elucidated in literature, be it Urdu literature or any other literature. We've heard, that, letters for an XYZ writer were found, and they compiled those letters into a book. So what are your views, Anupama, uh, about the impact of technology on literature, when it comes, when we talk about this? And then Subtizer, I'd love your views as well.
With your permission, Sabin, I'm going to personalize this answer a wee bit, so please do indulge. I've had a love marriage, and it was in those days when we got married. We were, my husband and I, we're from different languages, different religions, and it was a huge social issue then. But those are the times when we wrote long and very huge letters. You could they were sent to stationery that was available. So we literally poured out our heart. But I see my son and daughter who are in the Insta jet. Their emotions are conveyed by a WhatsApp message or an Insta feed, or you they both share an Insta story. So sometimes I wonder, how, even love as an emotion, it has myriad manifestations. Have they been able to enjoy or feel perspective or the emotion side that we felt, because they have not poured literally, they've never poured themselves on a piece of paper, they've not bled on the paper, right? An Insta message or an Insta story doesn't have that. Okay, it may feel cringy and this thing now, but I'm talking about at that moment, it is a different feel altogether. And also, I received a lot of letters from my dad and mom when I was in hostel. So now I do a video call with my son or my daughter when they're away. So it doesn't have the same feel. Yes, of course, there are some issues. It's speedy, it's out there, but it's again the deeper nuances and perspectives are somewhere they have gotten lost. The deeper enjoyment of situations, because we are on the surface of it, we are continue to live, we continue to feel, but yeah, those wonderful. And also nobody, the writings, our age, our times, handwriting was given a huge importance.
Cursive.
If you didn't write well, it is like, who is going to understand? Now, I get constant complaints that nobody understands, nobody bothers the amount of writing. So yeah, somewhere we've lost. So I guess it is again up to the people who are writing all those wonderful romances. Think of going back to some awesome letter writing involved in this thing, so that we come back to some good romances.
Yeah, and with letter writing, a person, there's a human touch, that is attached to letter writing.
Yes,
The texture of the paper, and the fact, if let's romanticize it a bit.
stationery, this, the scented stationery, somebody has made the effort.
And it's that person's handwriting, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's the typewritten word on email, and I'm not, in any way being negative about emails and stuff, but that romance, that dreaminess that's attached to letter writing, that if you're writing it for somebody, in a romantic way, their handwriting, that person has actually written. So there's a presence
It's
of
like
that person.
a dimension to the story that is missing.
Exactly. Sabdezar, how do you respond to us being reminiscent of the days
Well,
past?
there's so much I'm thinking right now because um, I feel like being like I'm sort of like a borderline millennial and Gen Zer and just somewhere in the middle, and especially like being an artist and a writer, I feel like I've always found myself really struggling to find like a middle ground between, these two things, like completely digitalizing my work or, my process, and then being completely authentic to it. And I've also been there, writing letters, because it just feels like it has so much more soul, when you're doing it with your hand and you're writing and just all of that. And I feel like with my graphic novel, that's something that I came back to, because in the 4 years of my degree, I completely came out of the practice of drawing um on paper, and just the texture of pen on paper and then words and just all of that beautiful stuff, everything was just digital. You're drawing on an iPad, and you've forgotten what your own handwriting looks like. So when I was making my graphic novel, one of the more um I'd say it was a tricky decision to make at that time, but I decided that I wanted all of the text to be in my own handwriting, because I felt like I just wanted it to really seem like a love letter from me to myself, because it was a very personal story and a very personal project for me. So I decided that, I don't want some typeface that someone else made that doesn't have any heart and soul to tell my story. I want my own handwriting to do that. And I feel like, in a way, I'm perhaps part of the few people who are just trying to hold on to what you guys really got to live. So that's where I'm at with all of this.
So do you think you're part of a small group that thinks that way, or
I feel like I'm definitely a part of a diminishing group because there are not a lot of people, at least around me. Let me not generalize or like speak for anybody else, but around me at least, I do not find a lot of people who are, feeling the same way. And when I had my thesis jury, a lot of people asked me, "Ke, why did you decide to be so unconventional about this? Why didn't you go the traditional way?" And I mean, they went as far as to ask me, "Why did you make a graphic novel?" Because nobody really, everything is online these days. We just read ebooks. So do you think it'll have the same impact? And I just really wanted to say, listen, I want you to pick up a book. I want you to really, really look at it, And
Absolutely.
that's what I'm trying to do. That's just a mission I'm on.
Yeah, I agree with you because,
May I
again,
add a word here, Sabdezar? Sabdezar, my daughter is in college and graphic novels, she's taken English as her general elective,
Mhm.
and graphic novels are part of a curriculum.
That's actually so refreshing to hear because I wish I had had
She
more of the
loves it, and she loves it, and she had to write a paper on one of them. I forget the name of the book, and she's read intensively, and she has huge amount of respect to people who are invested in graphic novels.
now.
okay, so there's another connection in the making. Okay, so my next question, and Anupama, I know you're going to love this one, um, because I feel technology is the new Gutenberg, because Gutenberg enabled an exchange of thoughts, vision, and expression. During the Reformation time, we remember Martin Luther, and I was saying this before. Hitting that pamphlet on the nailing that pamphlet on the church's door. That was the start of freedom of expression. And technology has done that. If you see, from, and I say this often, from the Arab Spring to Women's March, technology has been pivotal. The kind of text and the kind of information that has flowed, uh, and movements have been, we've celebrated so many amazing movements due to technology. So do you think it is the new Gutenberg? And then again, and I'm playing the devil's advocate here. uh, is technology playing a devil's advocate? And we cannot filter out, you know, these sonorous sounds from the boisterous noise.
uh, I always feel, for every change, there are two aspects. Change is the only constant thing that is there. And crowdsourcing is the only way ahead for anything that we do. And because of the break of outbreak of technology and how every industry has adapted to it, we are literally domainless in the sense one can sit and write a story at X place, Y place it could be edited, Z it could be published, all of them never meeting each other. It's just that technology has helped them to connect. And also, let's say there's an XYZ, there is a library of ideas where people are tapping into this library, picking out, let's say, two people pick out the same idea, let it be, but there are two interpretations of it coming. And both are equally enriching because into the interpretations, they seep into the personalized experiences, the lived in experiences. So the original content has also become much more enriched because of the interpretations, the versions that have come. And let's say I take a story, an Aesop's fable, just for the sake of conversation. I Indianize it, I add, keeping the same ethos, I generate a new tale with Indian characters, Indian issues, and these things. Let's say you take it down at Dubai and give it the ethos that you are more familiar with, that is your ethos. So then what happens? It is the original content has become far more enriched because there are many ways of interpreting the same. So that way it has given wings to us. It has given wings, a centralized library has been given wings to people to understand and assimilate stuff.
So that's amazing, Anupama. And my next question then is, do you feel technology is saturating our literary environment with the likes of blogging and self-publishing? And Anupama, after you, Sabdezar, you can add to that.
I wouldn't say saturating, but it has helped us it has helped more voices to come out. You know, I started out, if I were to trace my own story, I started out 6 to 7 years back as, with my daily Facebook posts. I would write a couple of lines. Then as it found traction, as my posts found traction, I gathered the courage to write what are called two-line tales. I would write a lot of tales about different emotions and ethos or the current themes in 2 lines. When they gained traction, I started writing short stories. And also I continued doing blogging, putting the ideas out there. Then I ventured into short stories. Short stories became a novella, then novels, and collection of short stories. So it kind of blogging, I feel, is very important for a person's growth because it gives you a ready-made audience who can be your followers, who will, it helps build up your own dedicated followers who will listen and read and understand your content, who will follow your content. Plus, blogging teaches you the discipline of expressing yourself in less than an ideal blog should end in 700 words. So it teaches you discipline of expression. So from there, it's easier to evolve into short story writing, and then so on and so forth. So blogging and social media are, if utilized properly, are absolutely incredible weapons in your arsenal to make your presence felt out there. I speak from experience because that's how I started. Without my blogging and without my social media posts, I wouldn't be here. So I'm fully for them.
Absolutely. Ananke's is purely digital. So, definitely on page with you on that. Sabdezar, do you have anything to add to this?
I just want to let you guys know here that despite how much I agree with Anupama on how important and effective these things are, it is my absolute biggest, worst nightmare to have to market myself online. It just feels so difficult. And not only because it gives me like massive imposter syndrome, but also because it's just so tough, like if I had this choice to just sit in a corner and keep creating content with the promise that okay, people who it'll mean something to will just somehow stumble upon it, I would do it. I wouldn't make all of this effort, like endorsing it on social media. It's just so difficult for me. And without Meher, I feel like my book would have been under some rock with me and nobody would know about it because I wouldn't have moved a muscle for it.
Sabdezar, uh, how Ananke started, just giving you an example. Uh, you know, I saw a gap. I wanted to showcase female role models and document their achievements digitally. That was how Ananke basically started.
Hmm.
And there were people who were saying, don't write like this. Long form is, you shouldn't write long form, and so on and so forth. And uh, if you read some of my writings, there people can call it verbose because there more, creativity involved in it.
Yeah.
So even if I'm writing on topics like gender equality, you see, uh, words that are usually not used in nonfiction writing, but I do that. That's how I write. That's how I think. And I said I'm going to do what I feel like doing, and maybe it would be a niche. There would be maybe 4 readers, but that's okay. And look at where Ananke is right now.
Yes.
We're still evolving, and it's good to remain grounded. I'm not saying we're this amazing, huge, big platform, but we're creating impact, and I think that is what should matter. Some of the girls here that you see in the Zoom session, they're my interns, and if you talk to them and if you see their work, you'll be amazed. So that's the kind of impact Ananke is having. So don't be intimidated by by internet, and by uh, you know the internet or the blogosphere doesn't need to validate you. You just do your thing.
Yeah, that's
Actually, it is
exactly.
entirely. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no,
I
no,
just
no, no. You continue.
I just said it is entirely up to us to move at our own pace, carve out our own space, and at our own dedicated voice. Eventually, your voice will make a difference in the sense we don't have to follow the herd. The distinctive voice at your own pace will be noticed. That's what
Absolutely.
I feel.
Absolutely, that is what I wanted to say in a nutshell.
That is what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving quickly to a few questions, because I want to cover everything. uh, I had a chat with an amazing chat with Sunandini Banerjee of Seagull Books last night during our event, and she spoke about apps. The new way of publishing and reading books, and that basically has a lot to do with immersive reading and augmented reality. So basically, technologies are combining interactive elements of oral cultures and immersive qualities of print, and thereby creating a hybrid of traditional storytelling. So how do you respond to this evolution as a writer and author, Anupama?
See, I always, I'm actually, if I were to tell you, I am a trained computer professional. I am not trained in writing at all. It just happened because I was very unwell. My writing journey is about 7 years old. So because that gives me, I'm pretty hands-on with the technology or this thing, because you have studied that. And also I've noticed that you can only write for some time. After that you have to understand that there are thousands of apps that are flooding your phone and your laptop. So how best to use those to make your presence felt in the outside world. So I make this, an iPhone gives you this thing for making an avatar. So every festival or every event or any major thing that happens, or I have a story or some quirky event in the in the political sphere or economic sphere happens. So I create an avatar and I make short videos, that have caught on the fancy. If I were to write the same text, it wouldn't create so much impact, because people are more clued into visual medium. So an artist, a writer should be also be open to experiment with various mediums. You know, that is, one is creative satisfaction, and also making sure your reader base expands. because the great Ruskin Bond has said there are more writers per square inch than readers. So how do you make your voice felt? Or how do you make your presence felt? So you shouldn't be restricted in your way of expression. You should be open to experiment, and you should be open to express yourself in diverse mediums, especially because my country, where the reader base is a pretty young reader base, so they are clued in with more electronic and more apps. So you should be willing enough to experiment with those mediums also. That is what I feel.
True, absolutely true. Um, Sabdezar, as an author, how do you feel about uh, this digital transformation of publishing as a young author?
I feel like it was inevitable. We all sort of knew that, and I feel like I'm really bringing all of this resistance into this conversation. Just talking about how I don't want this to happen, but also saying that I know it's going to. I feel like
It's refreshing because, being a millennial and Gen Z, a mixture of two, I
yeah.
think it's refreshing to
That's
hear
how we
that.
learn. That's how we also learn, isn't it? So it's the other side of the story.
Yeah, I feel like I'm also somewhere on your end of the situation, because it's just difficult to keep up with all of this. But I feel like, yeah, I mean, I should give it due credit where where it's due. It's really opened up so many avenues for people. People who really just, sometimes it's as simple as not being able to, or not knowing how to get your work or your word out there, and all of these digital avenues have made it so easy. I remember I was just, I think, around 14 or 15, and I really loved writing, and I used to, that was a point in my life where I wrote every day, and I used to write fiction. And I discovered Wattpad, and I was like, oh my god, like, I can just write entire stories, and I'm an author. And then I discovered that some of the people that I do read today, even, that's how they started. And that's just something that, for me personally, it just gave me so much hope. It made me feel closer to people on the other end. Just that we look at movie stars and we're like, what's it like for them? And this just sort of made me feel a bit closer to all of these writers that I idolized, but thought, I can never be that, I can never achieve that.
Well, you have. And very quickly, in half a minute, because we're, and the other session is just about to start. Both of you, uh, do you feel uh, these the increasingly the increase in the use of ebooks on tablets, they've changed the way we read literature, and have they given us a new perspective and produced knowledge? And the other question is, and very quickly, will we be competing with technology in terms of artificial intelligence when it comes to writing a book? Anupama, you first, 20 seconds, and then Sabdezar.
Because of ebooks and tablets, it's just a wider audience who can just download multiple number of books instead of investing in many times over the books. So it's a much wider audience. So we should be thankful of that. And artificial intelligence, well, the man is still the master of the computer. The button is in your hands. It's how you look at it.
Well, I think of Skynet, so, Terminator and iRobot and whatnot.
Yes.
Sabdezar?
Artificial intelligence, for me, terrifying concept. Let's just not. I feel like that's a strong battle ahead of us. But yeah, I feel like ebooks, if I'm just talking about my personal experience, I feel like it just made it so much easier for me to read. I'm just reading on the go, and I'm just absorbing so much more knowledge, and I'm all the more grateful for that, if anything.
Wow. Thank you so much, both of you. It has been a wonderful conversation, and look forward to our future conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Sabin. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All the
Bye.
best. Bye.